All right, before I begin doing a few more examples with the Pythagorean theorem, I just want to go back and point out I did make a mistake. I did spell the word hypotenuse wrong. I do numbers, I don't do letters, I don't do spelling so well. I own that, that's how it is, I apologize. Okay, so we did an example of finding a hypotenuse. So if we had the two side lengths and we needed to find the hypotenuse, we worked through that using the formula. All right, so now let's do an example where we have to find a leg using the Pythagorean theorem. I started working through this one. So here we go, example 2, find a leg using the Pythagorean theorem. So remember that the legs are the two sides that go along the right angle, okay? These are the legs. This is the hypotenuse, okay? The hypotenuse is always going to be the side that is opposite of the right angle. The right angle is here, so there's our C over there. It doesn't matter which way the angle is turned. So if you are given your side lengths, you take your formula, and then I'm going to plug these values into that formula in order to work through this. There is no way to just do this in your head or just do this with a calculator. You guys are going to have to do some work with this. So if A is 20, I'm going to plug that in for A, and I'm going to write 20 squared plus, I don't know what B is, B squared is equal to C squared. And I know that C is 29. Okay, so now I'm going to have to work through this. 20 squared is 400 plus B squared, I can't do anything with that yet because I don't know what the value of B is, equals 29 squared. So I have to do that. That equals 841. All right, now I've got to continue working through this process here. So I'm going to now subtract 400 from both sides. If you want to, you can do your little line down the middle of the equal sign to help you balance things out. But this is ultimately what we are trying to find is the value of B. So we want to get this by itself. Subtract 400 from both sides. And we then have B squared equals 441. All right. Now, the last step here, since this is squared, remember the inverse of squaring something is taking the square root of it. So the next thing I have to do is take the square root of both sides. So I'm going to square root that and square root that. And when I do that, this now is going to be B equals, I've got the 441 in my calculator, and then I just hit the square root button right here. And this turns out to be nice and neat. It's a nice, neat number of 21. So that side length is 21. All right, let's work through one that's going to be a little bit messier. So some of the problems in your assignment are a bit messier, and it asks you to round. So let's do one of those. I'm actually going to work through. So if we are trying to find a leg, let's do number 6 together. On number 6, you have to find a leg. All right, so if you watch this video, you should have the answer to number 6 done correctly. All right, I'm going to sketch the triangle just so you guys can see it. It's kind of like this. The right angle is right here. It tells me that this side is 6 centimeters, and this side here we don't know. That's side A. Centimeters, and then this right here is 12 centimeters. This is the hypotenuse, right? I know that this is the hypotenuse because it's on the opposite side from my right angle. Okay, so my formula, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I know that this is going to be A, and I know that this is going to be C. The hypotenuse is always C. So now I'm going to plug these values in. All right, so 6 squared. Oops, that's the B. It doesn't matter, but let's just stick with continuity since it gives us the A. So A squared plus 6 squared equals 12 squared. All right, now let's go through and do the math. I can't do anything to a squared. 6 squared is 36. 12 squared is 144. Okay, those are some of those easy ones that you should know off the top of your head. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do is subtract 36 from both sides of the equal sign. And I get that a squared is equal to 108. All right, and then the very last thing, since this is squared, I have to take the square root of it. I take the square root, I take the square root. All right, I've got 108 in my calculator. I punch the square root button. Oh my goodness, I just got a crazy decimal. This is when you guys freak out and you go, I think I got it wrong. I don't know what to do. What answer do I put? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, the directions tell you to round to the nearest tenth. The tenths place is the first digit after the decimal. Remember, it's tenths, hundredths, thousandths, yada, yada, yada. The rest is not important because we really only need to know the tenths place. All right, so in order to round, I'm going to have to look at the hundredths place. It's a 9, which means I'm going to round this one up to 4. So your answer should have a digit in the tenths place, okay? All right, this gives us units, so technically the answer is 10.4 centimeters. Those are your units. But when you put your answer into Go Formative, please just put this answer right here. Just put 10.4, and then it should mark your answer correct.